Good afternoon, Vajira. I'm here. We will
Good
start.
afternoon, madam.
We'll start at 1:15, right? I hope everybody will log in before that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you can check whether all the authors are coming.
Okay, I will check.
We'll start sharp at 1:15.
Okay.
Thank you. We would like to request all the paper presenters to rename themselves with the paper ID so that it's easy to identify. Some of you have already done. So any paper presenters, please rename with the paper ID for identification. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome you all to the parallel session of the theme Education of Hours 2021. Before starting the session, I would like to introduce and welcome the session chair of the session, Professor Shironika Karunanayake, Professor in Technology and the former Dean of the Faculty of Education at the Open University of Sri Lanka, is the session chair of this session. Welcome, Madam. I am handing over the session to you now.
Thank you very much, Vajira. Good afternoon, everyone. And I also welcome you all to the theme sessions on theme education. And we have 11 presentations scheduled for this afternoon. So before we start, let me give you some general announcements for everybody. So as you know, this is a virtual conference. So all the presentations are pre-recorded and they will be played by the host. And at the end of each presentation, there will be a Q&A session. So for altogether, for the presentation and the QA session is altogether 15 minutes. I would like to request all the audience, presenters and the audience to keep their microphones and the videos also switched off during the presentation. That is to avoid any disturbances or connectivity issues. But at the end of the presentation, you can ask questions, unmute your mics and ask questions, and the presenter can switch on the video and answer any questions from the audience. Okay, so I think those are the basic information I would like to give you. And let us start now. The first presentation is ID 53, that is, the topic is Enrolling Non-Conventional Students in Universities, a case study of manufacturing technology degree at the University of Vocational Technology. The presenters are D.D. Suravira and K.G. Alahaperuma from the University of Vocational Technology. So let me invite to play the presentation. Thank you.
Ayubowan, I am presenting the study conducted by myself with my colleague K.G. Alahaperuma on enrolling non-conventional students to the university. National Vocational Qualification Framework of Sri Lanka was established to provide pathway from certificate level to diploma and to the degree level qualification for those who are working in the technical and vocational education sector with craft level and middle level technical qualifications. To offer the 7th level of the framework, which is the bachelor's degree, university was established with Parliament Act number 31 of 2008, and we offer Bachelor of Technology degree programs. And the enrollment target group for our degrees are from the not from the normal secondary education GCA level, but they are after their secondary education they go to tertiary education and obtain a diploma, and some may work in the industry, or after completing the diploma they are coming to the degree program. Compared with the other normal students who are coming to the universities as after completing secondary students, this group of students can be compared as unconventional. The University of Vocational Degree is conducting different degree programs. One such degree program is the Bachelor of Technology in Manufacturing Technology degree program, where we enroll diploma holders of production technology, automobile technology, farm machine technology, refrigeration and air conditioning technology, and other mechanical related diplomas which are equivalent to NVQ 506. And when we looked at the performance of these graduates at the first and second years, we saw that they do well in practical subject, but lack the performance in more theoretical modules. We hypothesize that as like they join the degree with different qualifications in technology areas, not like with the GCE level students. So they may be having different exposure, experience, and entry level competencies. Like different diplomas provide different in-depth these theoretical competencies compared with those who are like having with one qualification and entering, they perform comparatively in a similar way. So we assume that these students who are following our degrees with diploma qualification to be having more practical oriented competencies as well as lack in theoretical competencies. And when we looked at the comparison of their results in the first first 2 semesters, we saw that the manufacturing technology students are performing poorly compared to the other technology degrees of the same faculty. All are coming from the same way after following diploma programs. So our study was aimed to find why these manufacturing technology diploma students are performing poorly. Is that due to a program deficiency, or is that due to a deficiency in the entry-level competencies of them? And as we assume that the technical competencies are practical technical competencies are high and more theoretical competencies are poor in with them, we thought of identifying the first semester modules which are of more theoretical oriented to find their performance. Data was collected from 3 batches of students who are following Monday to Friday programs. And when we looked at the enrollment figures from different technology diploma programs, we can see for the manufacturing technology degree program, majority of students are coming from farm machine technology and from refrigeration and air conditioning technology degree program. So you can see a large portion, nearly 45% are coming from farm machinery qualifications. And analysis of the first semester results of 3 theory oriented modules, engineering mathematics, engineering chemistry, and engineering physics. We can see the farm machinery students are comparatively poor in performing in these 3 modules compared to the others, and farm machinery and the refrigeration air conditioning, but the production automobile and mechanical diploma holders are doing comparatively better than this. So they show a lack, so that means more than 60% of the population of students are coming from farm machinery and refrigeration and air conditioning. When they perform poorly, it indicates the poor performance of the degree in the first semester. And we looked at the second semester performance also, comparing the performance of thermodynamics, engineering mechanics, and engineering mathematics. A same trend can be seen, but there's an improved performance. However, the same trend is continuing. Farm machinery doing poor, refrigeration and air conditioning followed by that. But see an increase, but still they have, compared with the others, a poor level of performance. So with that, we concluded that this farm machinery and refrigeration air conditioning diploma holders are performing poorer than the others, whereas the automobile production technology and non-mechanical diploma programs, the students are coming from that are doing comparatively good. The manufacturing technology is the only degree program available for this farm machinery technology students, farm machine production technology students, because other degree programs conducted are not taking them in. Therefore, we are to provide them the opportunity, but we can see that they are performing poorly in the degree program. Therefore, even the larger percentage of students are coming and they are willing to do that, but we see the overall performance is less. Then followed by the refrigerator and air conditioning technology, but they have the other program like building services to be followed. Therefore, we recommended to implement a more intensive foundation program for these farm machinery and refrigerator and air conditioning diploma holders, targeting modules which they perform poorly, like the mathematics, chemistry, physics. They should be given a kind of a foundation. Even now there is a foundation program, but for these students there should be a specific focus on this foundation. Yeah, normally the foundation is provided with mathematics, computer and communication skills, but these things has to be taken up in that. And also we have to communicate this requirement when they are coming from the diplomas. We have to communicate the findings with the relevant or to share that findings with the relevant agencies developing these graduates by delivering NVQ level 5-6 qualifications. They may be good at working in the industry, but when they go for higher education, they have to have this more little bit theoretical orientation. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer the questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation. I think we appreciate that the UNIVOTEC is providing opportunities for these non-conventional students to proceed with their higher studies in the technology education, which is a current need in the country, I believe. So Dr. Suravira, so I will open up the floor to the audience to ask any questions from the presenter. Any questions or clarifications?
Shall I ask one
Yes, Professor
question?
Gogamoti. Yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you for the presentation. Actually, I like to ask the question because based on the research studies related to technical colleges and UNIVOTEC, it shows that number of students the enrolling is decreasing. I want to know whether you identify the reason for that. Any main reason?
Actually, now little bit increased enrollment are there compared to the previous time, but the main thing is that our focus is the students who are getting NVQ level 3 and 4 to diploma at 5 and taking further. But the moment they get the qualifications at lower level, they can get employed. And once they get employed, they are reluctant to like say they are well paid, and then like from weekday programs, they are not much willing to come. But again, still I think the awareness among the students are not much high about this avenue available for them to go into that. Yes, that's one thing, because before the establishment of framework and the university, this had become a dead end. So they become a craftsman and end up as a craftsman.
Because there's a general view that
Yes.
the technical college and all those things, the students are decreasing because there are a lot of dropouts. That's why I asked this question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other question from the audience? Any comments or any clarifications? Okay, Dr. Suravira, I would like to ask now, I think you mentioned that you need to provide a specific foundation designed for these, to support these students. I think that's a very good idea, because anyway, you have given the opportunity and you have to support them. So have you found out already, have you sort of explored what are the lacking areas, of what sort of support is needed by these students?
Yeah, actually, some of them have not done like they are not have passed the O levels, and they have done the NVQ 3 and then come to the level 5 based on the framework. and some are having this fundamental mathematics and other communication issues. At the same time, as I mentioned in the program, this LNBQ 5 or 6 are employment oriented, and they give the competencies to match the world of work requirement. But this actually this higher order cognitive skills are not provided. That's the problem. So now we have changed the system, and now we have a extended semester without like this foundation. We have now extended semester where these first semester modules are started at a very low level, and more attention is given to these weak modules at the beginning, so that it's not like the same hours are allocated for each module, but for these weaker ones at the beginning we give a lot of attention, and then gradually we come to the semester.
Yeah, thank you. Just one more. I just wondered now, are you following, have you thought about changing your delivery methods and the strategies you use? Any changes?
Yeah,
Have you thought
now
about that
actually
also?
with this COVID, now things have changed and we have all gone online. And actually, I want to say that. So this approach is totally different from the conventional as well as from this ODL. No, we are in the middle. So we have to integrate some aspects of ODL into our system. We have this more self-paced learning to be incorporated in that. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So are there any other questions from Dr. Saraviraj? Or shall we move on to the next one if there aren't any more?
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank
madam.
you.
And I want to tell that I have another presentation in the half an hour at Jawadalpur.
Sorry, yeah, I got to know that. That's why. Thank you very much for presenting at ours, and wish you all the best. And I hope you will be able to support the students in the future with more novel strategies and all.
Okay,
thank you and good luck. Okay, so now we shall move on to the next presentation, the second one. That is paper ID 66, Usage of Technology in the Classroom Teaching by T. Kokul and Y. Ravindran. They are from Jaffna Hindu College and Wimberley Girls High School in Jaffna. Okay, so I invite the presentation to be played.
Good morning, all of you. I am going to present about usage of technology in the classroom teaching. I am Mrs. Jalini Ravindran and Thirumal Koval are the authors of this paper. Overview of the presentation: introduction, objective, methodology, results and discussion, and conclusion. First of all, introduction. The educational field has had many profound changes over the past few decades. The teaching to the growing generation requires adoption of modern technology. Technology helps to upgrade the learning process and reduce the burden of the teachers. Teachers use traditional teaching methods and techniques in the classroom teaching in Sri Lanka. Teaching learning process in the present context is changed to modern technology. This study is focused on the teachers at Jaffna Hindu College among the national schools in the northern province of Sri Lanka. The students in this college prefer to learn how to think critically and solve problems related to the technology through classroom digital technology. Teachers of this college are facing several problems in the classroom teaching activity, and some of them fail to disseminate their knowledge and experiences to their students. The problem is teachers have to adapt to the technology as themselves. Next objective of the study. First one, to identify the difficulties faced by the teachers in using modern technological teaching aids. Second one, to identify the barriers to technology integration in the classroom. Third one, to determine the influences of various technological aids in the classroom teaching. Final one, To identify the sources of acquired technological skills, teachers training and seminars provided by the education sector to use modern technology in the classroom. Next, methodology. Research population. Teachers of the Jaffna Hindu College. There are 124 teachers at the year of 2021. Sampling method. Random sampling method was used. There were 92 teachers selected based on the Grigi-Mohan table. Data collection techniques. The Google form is the main instrument used for this research work to collect primary data. The instrument was sent to the teachers via social media networks. Additional data were collected from the students' representatives and school principal via structured interview. Next, data analysis. Descriptive survey method was used to collect data for this study. Data were analyzed using the statistical package for social science. The objectives of the study was analyzed in percentages and the Pearson correlation. First objective, analyzed in percentages and Pearson correlation between the proper training to the teachers and ability of using technological equipments in the classroom. Here the proper training to the teachers is independent variable and using technological equipments in the classroom is dependent variable. Second objective was analyzed in percentage. Third objective, analyzed via the Pearson correlation between the students' interest in classroom learning and various technological aid in the classroom teaching. Here the students' interest in the classroom learning dependent variable. Various technological aid in the classroom teaching is independent variable. Final objective was analyzed in percentage. Next, results and discussion. Objective 1. It was found that 82.6% of the respondents have ability in handling modern technical aids. 51.1% of the respondents got proper training and participate in seminars about using technology in the classroom teaching. 87% of the respondents have some experience in technology-based teaching. The positive Pearson correlation shows the proper training to the teachers enhance the ability of using technological equipments in the classroom, and it is significant at alpha equal to 0.01 level. The ability to self-handling technological equipments increases the usage of technological equipments in the classroom. When they have insufficient training and inadequate skills, they feel difficulties in using technology equipments in the classroom. Next, results and discussion for objective 2. The table shows the barriers to technology integration in the classroom. There are 41.3% of the respondents who have not enough time to develop e-lesson. Teachers feel e-lesson as burden when increase the number of periods in a day. 93.5% of the classes have availability of equipments in classroom. There are 20.6% of the respondents who have said that availability of network facilities in the classroom and school were poor. It is easy to integrate technology in the classroom with availability of equipments and network facility. Results and discussion for object 3. The Pearson correlation between the availability of technology device in the classroom, teaching and learning, students' interest in the classroom express the positive correlation and significant at alpha equal to 0.01 level. The use of modern technological equipments as teaching and learning aids in the classroom stimulate the students' interest significantly. Next, results and discussion for objective 4. The table shows the finding of the analysis for the objective 4. This was to identify the source of accurate technology skill, teacher training and seminars provided by the education sector to use modern technology in the classroom. The education sector did not provide any training or seminars to 48.9% of the respondents. 82.6% of the respondents have prior knowledge in handling technological aids. Training and seminars motivate the teachers to use modern technology in classroom. Finally, conclusion and recommendations. The findings of the study shows that teachers do not have adequate access to internet facilities in the school. Technology in the teaching makes the subject simpler and more understandable and improve the understanding of students in the subject. Proper training and seminars to the teachers and adequate technology facilities in the classroom motivate teachers to give better learning experience to their students. Recommendations made highlighted that the usage of technology in the classroom would enhance the students' interest in the learning. The administration, Department of Zonal Education and Teachers Center should provide proper training on usage of modern technology in the classroom to teachers and increase the classroom facilities as technologically advanced. These are the reference. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that presentation. Mrs. Ravindran, I think you are here in the audience. Okay, so I think that's a very relevant topic at this time, especially when all teachers are compelled to use technology in the teaching learning process. Anyway, so let me invite the audience to raise any questions from Mrs. Ravindran.
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you. I am Veerakon. Yeah, thank you for the presentation. According to the presentation, I noticed that 82% teachers can handle that modern technological equipment in the school. I want to know which type of modern technological equipments available in the Jaffna Hindu College, and I want to know whether smart board also available in the college. Which type of modern technological
Thank you, Mr. Veerakon. Mrs. Ravindran, the question, I think you understood the question. What are the modern technologies available for teachers? Mrs. Ravindran, can you please unmute and answer? And we can't see you if you can fix your...
Here, more than 70% of the classes have smart boards and speaker facilities or other facilities. So teachers, nearly 82% of the teachers have ability to operate that equipments and deliver their lessons to their students.
Okay, so I think that's a good situation actually, because most of the time we find schools are not having enough facilities and resources, but it seems your school do have resources. Okay, any other questions from the audience?
It's not a question. I appreciate, because in the school level, the teachers itself, they initiate this research and identify the situation of the ongoing teaching learning process with integration with the technology. It is a very good study. It is a current need of the study.
True.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that comment. Yes, I also wanted to say that, yes, it's good that teachers themselves
Yes.
initiating these sort of researches. But okay, Ketheeswaran, you have a question? I see your hand raised. Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Ketheeswaran.
yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. It's a good study. I agree with you all. I have a questions that actually language barrier it's play a vital role in this using smart that online things. So, did you have any findings regarding that? And also, when they are using this one, this smart this technology that what they are dealing with, how they are dealing with this inclusive classroom. If one student is with the special needs in the classroom, how they include them. Did you have any idea regarding that out of your findings?
Inclusive class. Actually, I did not do this survey as inclusive classroom or other classroom, normal classrooms. But it is, I think it is better for inclusive classroom because they have a different ability to learning in different way. So the smart boards sometimes attraction maybe to the students in the inclusive classroom.
Yes,
Special
yes.
attraction for
You have not looked at that aspect in the study, but maybe you can, in the future, you can look at those aspects as well. I just have a question. I just noticed in the data that I think I remember like more than 80% of them have said they have got training, as I remember, isn't it? But then your findings and suggestions, you said adequate training is not given. I saw some mismatch there. Can you explain that, please?
Here, most of the classrooms, smart boards are available and other technological devices are available. So, teacher self-learning and deliver the lessons. Proper training is, I think, the presentation I delivered, and I think 50 around or 52% of the staff got proper training for this e-learning or teaching or technical equipments using.
Okay, so you mainly like sort of mentioned about the self-training, self-studying and doing this rather than getting any formal sort of training or capacity development. So that's why you suggest the teachers. I think all teachers need that sort of capacity development now, isn't it?
Yes.
Not only few some selected teachers, but all teachers in this context they need. Anyway, so thank you very much, Mrs. Ravindran and your colleague. We wish you all the best to conduct further studies at your school level. Thank you for participating in ours 2021.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Thank you so much.
Okay, we move on to the third presentation now. That is paper ID 82, Prospective Teachers' Perceptions of the Nature of Science by M.V.K. Mullever from CNA National College of Education. So let us listen to that presentation now.
This study is about prospective teachers. Prospective teachers' perceptions of the nature of science. As you know, prospective teachers are the ones who follow pre-service teacher education courses in national colleges of education. They are eligible for permanent pensionable teacher appointments in government schools after the successful completion of the course. In Sri Lanka, pre-service teacher education conducted at National Colleges of Education, NCOEs, usually called Vidyapita. It leads to award national diploma in teaching. Pre-service, it constitutes 2-year institutional period at National College of Education and 1-year internship in a government school. These are the 19 National Colleges of Education located island-wide. CNA is the fourth one where I work. National Colleges of Education were established in 1985 in order to develop pre-service teacher education. From 1985 up to this year, pre-service teacher education has taken much effort to equip prospective teachers for teaching effectively. But with my experience, still science teachers do not have a proper understanding about nature of science. Therefore, investigation is necessary to look into this challenge and propose remedial measures with the view to developing pre-service teacher education in Sri Lanka. So, this study is mainly aimed to out prospective teachers' initial perceptions of the nature of science. It is also important to examine the nature of pre-service teacher education program and the supportiveness of the program for changing prospective teachers' initial perceptions. 19 National Colleges of Education. These are the 7 colleges where science course is conducted. According to the 3 A's, acceptability, accessibility and availability, CNA National College of Education was selected as the research site. This is CNA National College of Education. At present, it conducts 5 courses: Science, Mathematics, Technological Education, Craft and Art, and Primary Education. For the convenience of the study and presenting information, 2-year research period was divided into 3 phases. As shown in this figure, 2 terms are considered in each phase from phase 1 to phase 3. When out the sample, it constitutes of 77 prospective teachers, 15 males and 62 females in science course. This sample was purposely selected from the study population 2017-2019 batch. During the research period, data were collected using 3 techniques: informal discussions, questionnaire, and semi-structured interviews. As this research explored prospective teachers' perceptions, a questionnaire with open-ended questions was administered. All the 3 instruments were centered on prospective teachers' initial perceptions on the nature of science and what had influenced them to have such views, and how their perceptions changed during the research period. All 3 instruments were administered during 3 phases, maintaining scheduled time intervals. Analysis was done qualitatively using the method content analysis. At first, coding categories and subcategories were determined. Then content was coded and analyzed. Data collected using 3 techniques were triangulated to obtain the results. Phase 1 regarding initial perceptions of prospective teachers are as follows. They possess different ideas about the nature of science. These are the most common ideas collected from the questionnaire. Here you can see the most common responses collected from semi-structured interviews and informal discussions. All these data give evidence that at the initial stage they did not have clear idea about the nature of science. Therefore, their answers focus to content knowledge and have traditional science views. They viewed science content as separate entities because they have learned science under different topics without making interrelationships. It seemed that at the beginning they had difficulty in conceptualizing the nature of science. At the commencement of the pre-service teacher education program, comprehensive orientation was given. After that, prospective teachers started to follow coursework. What you can see here is National Colleges of Education curriculum. It constitutes 4 areas. These areas equip prospective teachers gradually with necessary knowledge, attitudes and skills related to the teaching profession. During phase 1 and phase 2, coursework is continued at different levels together with teaching practice. It helps prospective teachers who follow science course to develop their nature of science knowledge. They had different opportunities to understand the nature of science. But at the end of phase, there was no significant change except a few shifts in prospective teachers' views of the nature of science. Continuation of coursework making prospective teachers obtain a variety of competencies necessary for the profession. These are the special activities cooperate with the coursework during phase 2 and phase 3 for further development of nature of science knowledge. As a result, changes in prospective teachers' perception during phase 3 can be summarized as follows. Here you can see the changes in their perceptions about nature of science. At this stage, they viewed science content as a system with interrelated concepts. They agreed that science is a discipline different than other disciplines. These ideas give evidence that still their views on the nature of science were vague. This figure shows you how prospective teachers gradually change their views on the nature of science. At the beginning, different ideas and traditional views they have focused on science content knowledge. Continuation of coursework helped them to develop comprehensive knowledge of the nature of science. Therefore, it could be seen a gradual change in their science views. But still, they were unable to give clear definition of the nature of science relating other disciplines. Conclusions of the research are as follows. Prospective teachers' initial views on the nature of science were different. Their perceptions were subjected to change very slowly over the time by the experiences they gained in pre-service education. Development of prospective teachers' understanding of the nature of science is possible, but difficult. The procedures employed and explicit instruction given during the pre-service teacher education facilitated prospective teachers to change their perceptions of the nature of science. Finally, it could be concluded that prospective teachers' perceptions of the nature of science should and can change during their pre-service teacher education period. These are the recommendations given by the researcher. Pre-service teacher education program needs to make a concerted effort to help prospective teachers improve their ability to understand the nature of science as well as improve students' understanding of the nature of science. Lecturers who implement the science curriculum need to be prepared with strategies designed specifically for teaching the nature of science. It is prospective teachers' responsibility to gain a vast and complex body of scientific knowledge, pedagogical knowledge associated with different content to acquire exact perceptions of the nature of science. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Mallava. So you can switch on your video and unmute yourself so that the audience can raise any questions or any comments on that presentation. Any comments or any queries from the audience?
I have one concern.
Yes.
Then one question actually. Then you have selected that male. How many? Maybe there is a mismatch. I mean, there is no that. Can you please justify your sample that you have selected very few male students and many female students? Can you justify your answer, sample?
Yes, Dr. Mallav, can you?
Sample
I think
females and
Dr. Mallav, can I ask? I think there are two devices. You have switched on two devices, so you can mute one.
yeah, madam. Yeah.
Okay, I will mute the other one, I believe. Okay, can you try now?
Yeah, madam.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
madam.
Yeah,
Can
go
you
ahead.
hear me? Me? Yeah. Yeah. I have selected the sample.
Okay, I think we have an issue with some echo. I think some technical issue is there with your device. Maybe if you can just talk without the video sometimes. Can you try again, please? About
Okay,
the
madam.
sample?
Now
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
Okay, yeah.
I have selected the sample purposely because those students are the yeah. That's why 50 males and other rest females. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, Dr. Ruindi, did you get the answer?
Is it okay? I couldn't hear that properly because of lack of male students, right?
I believe maybe majority of the students are females. I believe in the teaching profession, we all know.
That's the reason, madam.
Yeah, I guess that. I mean, we all know in the teaching profession, majority are females. So maybe your student teachers are also majority females. I was wondering whether, did you conduct this as an action research in different phases? Or now you mentioned different phases and you observed the changes in their perceptions. Was it just surveys at different phases, or did you organize or design like an action research doing some interventions? Yeah.
No, madam, that's the qualitative research. So continuously I observed them and getting other information through that 3 instruments. When they were recruited to the college and when they were continuing their study.
Okay. So we understand you just observed, but now since you have realized that still there's no big improvement, maybe you could think about doing something to do the improvement, like making an intervention, because to support them to change their perceptions and change their practices, maybe you could do further.
They have sufficient content knowledge, but really they should know the nature of science. Otherwise, they can't really teach the science. That's the main.
I think we accept that, but then if they do not have, I think as we also have a responsibility to help them or support them develop that perception. So maybe you can think about some interventions in the future. Thank you for participating in ours 2021. And good luck with your future research work. Okay, so now the next one is the 4th presentation. That is paper ID 85.
Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation.
Wait.
I'm Namita Chandrasekharan and I'm graduated from University of Kelaniya.
Okay, I couldn't read out the name. Just yeah, it's the topic is sustainability of gamification as a new media platform for primary education in Sri Lanka, presented by SNB Chandrasekhara from University of Kelani. Okay, so we can start that now. Thank you.
I would like to talk to you about suitability of gamification as a new media platform for primary education in Sri Lanka. I'm going to deal with three main points. They are education, new media, gamification. Let's see how these three words combine with each other. Background of the research. Education. The word education means learning something new in a formal way or informal way, maybe an unknown thing or maybe a known thing. When we are talking about Sri Lankan education, it can be divided mainly into three parts. Those are primary education, secondary education, and collegiate. Here the most important thing is primary education. The grade 1 to 5 classes can be defined as the primary classes in Sri Lanka. This is a critical stage of a child in the education system because in this period, child will grow up, improve their knowledge, skills and attitudes. New media. When we are talking about new media, today the new generation is digital natives and they normally use new technology and they are combined with each other. They are very familiar with laptops, tabs and smartphones. Today, new media is viral in the society. New media platforms. We can mention some new media platforms like websites, blogs, social media, video games, and etc. Video games. Video games are one type of new media. People are used to playing video games through computers and smartphones. Gamification. Gamification means we can apply something to the video games. It is called gamification. As an example, we can apply education to the video games. Then it becomes as an application. So it is called gamification. Normally in the education system, children learn using traditional learning. But gamification can be used as a new media tool in the primary education system. Applying subjects to a video game and create a new video game, and through that we can teach children. The children also learn practically and willingly. Research objective. The objective of the research was to identify the effectiveness of gamification in the field of primary education in Sri Lanka and to identify the most suitable gamification models. Research problem. The problems I got in my research was how to adapt and apply teaching and learning via games into the primary education and what will be the most effective game category to create the video games to get attraction among primary students. Hypothesis. The most suitable and practical teaching and learning methodology is gamification. Limitation. I did this research only for the primary education in Sri Lanka. Literature review. I did my literature review with three main topics. They are education, new media, gamification in education, and I went through types of education, new media theory, and gamification topics. Methodology. This research is based on quantitative data, data collection. Primary data was collected through quizzes and secondary data was collected through research articles and books. 150 questionnaires were allocated among 9 provinces in Sri Lanka and I got data from 150 primary teachers. Data analysis. Quantity data is analyzed through Google Forms. Results and discussion. Here, as you can see in this first graph, the teachers' most used device to connect with new media is smartphones. It is 75%. 48% use laptops and 17% use computers to connect with new media, while 11% use other devices. Here in the second chart, we can see the most popular new media among the primary teachers. The Zoom app is the most popular and it is 77%. Next most used media is WhatsApp. It is 73%. Microsoft Teams include 11% and Viber include 9%, while 6% use Messenger and 1% Skype, and 8% teachers use other new media to teach children. The first chart of this slide shows teachers' opinion of using video games to teach children. 36.6% teachers recommend video games are very appropriate for primary education, while 15.9% recommend it is suitable, and 20.7% recommend it is good to teach with video games, but 19.5% teachers recommend it is not so suitable, and 7.3% teachers recommend video games are not at all appropriate to teach children. Here in the second chart, it shows more suitable game category. The category of a strategy game is the best to create educational video games, and it takes 27%. Live simulation, role-playing, action and adventure games get the equal amount, and it is 26%. 23% teachers say that adventure games are good, and 17% teachers say that role-playing games are good, while 2% teachers suggest any other game category to create educational video games. Time duration. I got 2 months to complete this research article. Conclusion. Sri Lankan primary teachers use new media than the past. They are combined with smart devices. So using gamification than traditional learning will motivate children to learn. Even during a global pandemic like COVID-19, this method can be used very easily, and the children teach their lessons easily. Through these educational games, improved children's knowledge, and so does the level of reasoning ability. Suggestions. The games should be created related to the school syllabus, and the game should not be very complex. They must be very simple because small students, primary students, play these games. They should be created with suitable external factors like a social environment. So I have reached to the end of my presentation. Thank you all for listening.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Chandrasekhara. If you can switch on the video, I think there may be some questions because it's an interesting area which we would like to explore, especially in the current context. Yes, any questions from the audience?
Yes, that is a very novel idea. That's very, interesting research. Then I just want to know whether that is you are referring to primary. Then what subjects are you referring to? Maths or?
Can you please unmute yourself? Yes, and respond. We can't hear you, Mrs. Chandrasekhara. Can you please unmute?
Basically, we can take. Can you hear me?
No, yes. Yeah, it's not very clear. Yes, can you start again? Because yeah, the question was, were you focusing on any particular subjects?
Basically, we can.
Yes.
No, we can basically apply any subjects to this gamification, the video games. We can take maths, we can take Sinhala, we can take any subject, even languages also we can take, apply to the video games.
Yeah, but the question was whether your research focused on any particular subject. So no, so just generally primary education, right? Okay, Dr. Mukundan, I think
any.
Yes, madam. I saw the hypothesis, then how to use the variables and how to test the hypothesis study. I saw the hypothesis after the objectives.
Sorry, I didn't get.
Did you use any test? Which test you use for the test hypothesis? What's the statistical test you use for you mentioned the hypothesis in this study. What's the statistical tool you use for test hypothesis?
Is it clear to you? The question, was it clear to you? The how the hypothesis testing was done, that was the question.
Because I did an interview with, I did interviews. I did interviews with the primary teachers in Sri Lanka. I got 25 primary teachers to my interview, and I got their ideas and I got their experience. Through that, I built it. Most of the teachers said that the video games are suitable to teach children.
Well, as I understand what you have done, your research was like finding out perceptions of the teachers on the use of games in primary education rather than doing any testing or anything, right? It's just getting their perceptions or their viewpoints on the usage of gamification in the in primary education, is it?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe that's what has been done. Anyway, it's an interesting area.
Before we create the video,
yes,
I would
Dr.
like to
Gunasinghe?
ask, I would like to ask some clarification and your experience. Actually, in this present contest, it is very good. The gamification is the new way to reach the academic achievement. However, do you think teachers have confidence to do that, competent to do those things? Have they experience to do that? Those gamification or new methods for primary teachers? I am asking the primary teachers.
Because when I was doing this research, I got opinions from the primary teachers. There were many age groups. I got data from various ages. That means 20 to 35, 35 to 45, 45 to 50, like that. I got various ages of teachers. So I think it's suitable to create a video game for the primary students.
Is that
I think the question, I think you didn't understand the question anyway. The question was, okay, the teachers might like, they would have very good interest, they're motivated to do, but do they have the competence? Are they trained, or are they really competent in creating video-based games, or doing these things? Just having the interest is not enough. No, in order to implement it, how to do it? That was the question. What is your answer to that?
I think they haven't any training, but if we are willing to create a video game, first of all, we have to train teachers as well as the students. We have to train both parties.
Yes. Okay. So, anyway, it's a starting point, I think, to get to know teachers' perceptions of their interest, motivations in doing these things. That's a starting point. I think in the future, maybe you could come up with suggestions on how to encourage teachers to actually do these things, not just to have the interest, but to do the things practically. And get some studies done on how they are doing that. Okay, then thank you very much for participating in your presentation. Now we move on to the fifth presentation, that is ID 89, Reading Habits and Factors Affecting Reading Habits of Advanced Level Grade Students. That is by S.R. Fernando and W.R.W.M.A.U. Veerakon from the Open University of Sri Lanka. Okay, so let's listen to that presentation now.
Good day to all. Today's presentation on reading habits and factors affecting reading habits of advanced level grade students, presented by S.R. Fernando and co-authored by WRWMAU. The contents of the presentation as follows. Introduction to the factors affecting reading habits of advanced level grade students. According to DADSI, reading is an ability to understand words contained in a document and make use of the knowledge for his or her personal growth and development. According to Wagner, the activity of reading is regarded as a habit when it is repeatedly carried out. Reading habits are often considered in terms of the amount of material that has been read, the frequency of reading, and as well as the average time spent on reading. Reading habits of students. According to Owusu Achev, reading habits have a great influence on student performances in academic activities. According to Bamidele, worldwide studies have shown that modern-day children do not show that much of interest in reading due to a number of reasons. Therefore, parents, teachers, and librarians have a major role to play in developing reading habits among school children. The current study is based on reading habits among advanced level students of Asian International School, covering both grades A's and A2 studying in commerce and science streams. The Asian International School started in 1989, has a student population of approximately 1,200, classes from playgroup to advanced level, and it follows the British curriculum. The school library consists with valuable in-house and online library resources covering all the subject areas taught. The research problem, usage statistics at Asian International School Library shows that decrease in library book borrowing rate, students tend to spend less time on reading, the library is not used up to the maximum despite its available facilities. In parallel, a decline in exam grades was observed and students are not performing up to their potential, especially the students who are in exam preparation grades. By considering all these, it was understood that it is important to assess the present reading habits of students and take measures to inculcate good reading habits among students. The current research is carried out to address the above issue. Objectives of the study. The main objective is to explore the reading habits among the advanced level grade students of Asian International School and suggest appropriate measures for improvisation. Specific objectives are as follows. To find out the types of information materials read by A-level students, to examine the purposes of reading, to identify the frequency and time allocated for reading, to determine the preferred places and formats for reading, to find out the factors influencing reading habits, to find out students' perception towards reading. 8 research questions were derived and they will be discussed under results and discussion. Methodology. The target population of the study are the first and second year advanced level students of Asian International School following the EdXL syllabus in 2 subject streams, namely science and commerce. The sample, the entire population of 120 students in the A-level grade was taken as the sample, as it is a manageable number and a fraction of which may not measure what is required. Research tool, a self-administered questionnaire. Data were analyzed and presented as percentage values. Results and discussions. Response rates was 66% with 80 respondents. Female students 45 was greater than the male students 35 in the study. Science stream 42 students altogether and commerce stream 38 students. Research question 1. What types of reading materials mostly read by the A-level students? Most used materials are storybooks with 63.75%, close preference for school textbooks and web pages, growing interest on subject-related books and e-articles. Least used are newspapers, magazines. Research question 2. What sorts of library materials are used by the A-level students other than their class-related work? Students were asked to identify the types of library materials they prefer to read. The results show that 76.28 prefer to read storybooks of the type of fiction, 66.25, thriller, comics, romance, science fiction and classics, 18.75 in decreasing order. Out of the total responses, 23.71 have indicated that they read other materials of the type of non-fiction, biographies and general knowledge. Research question 3. What is the purpose of reading by the A-level students? 72.5 read for leisure, pleasure and relaxation. 77.5% read for different academic purposes such as finding information for assignments and gathering extra knowledge on subjects. The other reason simply the love to read and intrigued by famous authors. Research question 4. How much time allocated for reading? Frequency of reading. Most of the respondents read whenever they need occasionally. Other category engage in reading if they get hold of a good book to read. With regard to time spent on reading, most students prefer to spend 30 minutes to 1 hour for reading, or the time cannot be clearly defined but depends on the purpose of reading. Research question 5. What are the preferred places and formats to do reading? 48% said that they would love to read at home, 27% school library, 21% while traveling, and 4% any other library. With regard to preferred formats, 56% said that they would love to read print books, 28% reading from a smartphone tab, and 16% reading from a computer. Research question 6. What are the factors that motivate reading habits of the A-level students? The need for information personally was the major factor with 66.25. Then recommendations from friends, school assignments, advice by teachers, advice by parents, and other. Research question 7. What are the factors that hinder the reading habits of the A-level students? The major factor was lack of time with 88.75. Then place not attractive 21.25%, inadequate material 20%, reading difficulties 2.5. Research question 8. What are the students' perception towards reading? 38.75 said that it is very much enjoyable, and 7.5% not at all enjoyable. Students' attitudes towards reading. Good reading habits improve writing skills, improves knowledge, improves vocabulary, sparks imagination and creativity, better thinking and analysis when answering questions, releases stress, and excessive reading for pleasure eats up time. Conclusions. Fairly satisfactory reading habits were observed among advanced level grade students of the current study. A majority has accepted that reading is enjoyable and they read mostly for leisure, pleasure, and relaxation. Students also read for academic purposes and for general interest. Storybooks were the most preferred reading material in relation to the purpose. However, academic textbooks are also referred and online resources show a growing interest among students. Most prefer to read from printed material and find their homes to be the more comfortable space for reading. Students tend to read whenever they want, and the time spent for reading depends on the purpose. Self-need and recommendation from friends were the common motivational factors for reading, whereas lack of time was regarded as a hindering factor. Most students perceived that reading could affect their academic performances positively. Recommendations. Number 1, the school library should encourage the students to use the library more by amending working hours of the library so that the students may feel free to utilize the leisure time in a useful manner, enhancing the ambience of the library, developing a suitable and attractive collection including e-resources, and introducing diverse lending facilities. Number 2, as recommendations from friends is a factor that influences students to read, the library should introduce innovative programs such as reading clubs, reading circles, competitions where students can socialize and collaborate. Number 3, sufficient budgetary allocations can be made by the school management to acquire age-appropriate pleasure reading material, which can be used to improve students' vocabulary, quality of writing, creativity, imagination, etc. Following are the references, and thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it's an interesting study because reading nowadays, there is a concern that children are not reading much as olden days. But your study gives some good results that the students or the A-level students are reading to a great extent. Okay, so who is there from this paper? May I ask you to switch on your videos if possible?
Yes, madam. Good afternoon.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Okay. Ms. Fernando?
Yes, madam.
Okay, right. Okay, so let me open up the floor to the audience for any questions from her.
Yes, actually, I like to ask. First, I want to appreciate what the chairperson mentioned. Actually, reading habits gradually going down because most of the students, they don't like to read. But anyway, in the study shows that now the majority of the students, they like to read e-resources and all. I want to know in which time period you did this research.
Actually, I did this last year when they lifted the lockdown.
During the lockdown time.
Yes, yes.
Maybe that influence also
It was
maybe, yeah,
functioning.
no, yes. That's right. Okay, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And also you only selected the purposive sample from one selected international school, right?
Yeah,
Isn't it?
Asian International School and the AS and A2, the first year and the second year
Yeah,
students.
so probably, I mean, the medium, the show might be English. I
Yes.
assume it's most, I
Yes,
mean,
ma'am.
the medium of reading materials probably would be English because didn't you look at that aspect, which medium they are reading?
No, madam,
I
no,
didn't see
because I
that.
was focusing because the first language is like English language, not.
Well, it could differ. It would have been interesting to know that as well.
Okay,
Anyway, I think you had looked at a lot of aspects. Okay, are there any other questions or any comments from the audience? Yeah, now we see that there's an increase among the young generation to read more e-resources rather than now. We are more comfortable, I mean, with the print material. I'm talking about myself, but now we are also have moved on to reading more things on computer and tabs and mobile. But we see most of the time this young generation, they are always reading things, even in the mobile, like, you know, a very small screen, still they are comfortable in reading. Did you find that? What do you have any comments on that?
But according to my research, some of them, they said they prefer to read e-materials and all that thing. But according to the research, the printed materials carries a more percentage. Yeah, because whenever they want, they can take a book and read. It's not too strenuous and all that. Not like looking at a screen and then read it. So we can relax and then read a printed hardcover book or something like that.
That's good to hear, actually. Yeah, that's good. Okay, any other questions or comments? So are you, how are you associated with this school?
I'm the librarian. I'm working at Asian International.
You are the librarian?
Yes, madam.
Oh, okay. So you, okay, how about library usage of these students? Is it like, most of the time they said they are using for leisure, you know, to read storybooks and all. But what about the others, like general knowledge and, you know, in the library, all categories are there? No?
Madam, now the A-level grade students, so they are more focused on the results and all that thing, exams and all that thing. So they prefer to read subject-related books most of the time. So the storybooks.
But your results showed storybooks, right?
Yeah, storybooks, yes. It carries a higher percentage. There are also the thriller, horror, like that.
But I think that's also good because they need to relax. They need to enjoy reading as well. So I think that's also.
Majority of them, they said because of the workload at school, they can't. They don't get free periods and stuff like that, so they are unable to read. And whenever they get a time, they prefer to read storybooks than other things.
Okay, okay.
Right.
So that's quite interesting. Maybe you can do some other studies in the future, how to encourage more students to read more and, you know, different motivational techniques. Maybe as a librarian, you could think about I think you already recommended, so maybe you can implement them as well. Okay, so thank you very much. If there aren't any other questions, we will move on to the next one. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
The next one is paper ID 100. That's about mixed methods research approach, strengths and shortcomings, from KDR LJ Pereira from the Faculty of Education, Open Institute of Sri Lanka. Okay, so let's listen to that presentation now.
Hello everyone. This paper is based on mixed methods research approach, strengths and shortcomings. Justification for merging qualitative and quantitative data dates back to the paradigm wars of the 1970s and 1980s, when social scientists assisting qualitative research proposed constructivism as an optional paradigm to the positivist paradigm of quantitative research. And the different rationales employed for classifying qualitative and quantitative have connections to diverse paradigmatic perspectives. There are 4 commonly agreed categories of research paradigms: positivism, post-positivism, constructivism and pragmatism. Positivism and post-positivism are directly connected with quantitative research, while constructivism is directly connected with qualitative or interpretivist research. And the methodological pragmatists argue that paradigmatic conflicts can be resolved based on practical utility. Pragmatism has been promoted as the appropriate philosophical perspective for mixed methods studies. Then the aim of this study is to review the literature on strengths of mixed methods research approach and its shortcomings. There are 2 research questions. What are the strengths of mixed methods research approach and what are the shortcomings of mixed methods research approach? Then there are different types of review methods: systematic, semi-systematic and integrative approaches. Then a semi-systematic review approach could be a good strategy. Because of that, there are 4 in this study. A semi-systematic approach was applied, and this review mainly focused on research articles and books that investigated the strengths of mixed method research approach and its shortcomings. And most of the review literature was published in online journals. The selected articles and books were read, and the findings following the reviewed literature are presented based on the research questions. And this literature analysis was based on thematic analysis. I employed thematic analysis for data analysis. And when it comes to results and discussion under the research questions, strengths of mixed methods research approach. When considering the strengths of mixed methods research approach, it is the 3rd research group, and it moves past the paradigm wars, contributing a rational and realistic option. It also assists in how research approaches can be effectively combined. It gives philosophical and methodologically an instant and helpful middle position. Also, it provides a technique for choosing methodological mixes which assist researchers to respond in a better way to numerous research questions. Morgan explains the approach stressed in qualitative research is an inductive, subjective, contextual approach, while quantitative research stresses the approach of deductive, objective generalization. And the pragmatist position undervalues the real impact of philosophical assumptions on research methods, an impact that is mainly important for merging both approaches, qualitative and quantitative. Ontological, epistemological and axiological assumptions are real properties or values of researchers and necessarily affect researchers' methods at some level. These assumptions are lenses for viewing the world and help to reveal phenomena and generate insights that would be difficult to obtain with other lenses. Then research methods are not necessarily linked to a single philosophical stance and may be informed by one or more paradigms. Mixed methods indicate an approach in social science which promotes the combination of quantitative and qualitative methodological approaches. Also, mixed methods research does not replace quantitative or qualitative approach, but reinforces the strengths and minimizes the limitations of both approaches in a single research study. Then, some researchers believe that mixed methods research can also assist in overcoming the division between quantitative and qualitative research, thereby forming a third research paradigm. Then, pragmatism rejects traditional dualisms and generally prefers more moderate and common sense versions of philosophical dualisms based on how well they work in solving problems. Then expansion in mixed methods approach has the possibility of decreasing some of the issues linked with any method. And also some researchers emphasize that by employing quantitative and qualitative methods in the same design, mixed methods research can integrate the strengths of both approaches. Also, the mixed method approach examines related but diverse sides of an incident, resulting in an enhanced consideration of that incident. Then some researchers have emphasized that the immense power of the mixed methods research approach of research methodology in social science is its emphasis on the link between epistemological concerns about the status of knowledge and scientific concerns about the methods used to generate that knowledge. And also pragmatism is focused on the direction of resolving realistic issues in the real world more than on assumptions about the status of knowledge. And there are shortcomings of mixed methods research approach. Like all current philosophies, mixed methods research approach also has some shortcomings, including the tendency for basic research to receive less attention than applied research, since applied research might seem to create more direct and realistic outcomes. Also, pragmatism might encourage incremental modification rather than more primary structural or radical modification in society. And although pragmatism has worked moderately well, many current philosophers still reject pragmatism because of its rationale weakening as a resolution to numerous philosophical arguments. And pragmatic researchers may also occasionally be unsuccessful in giving a reasonable response to the query for who is the pragmatic resolution helpful. Further, some researchers may emphasize that the pragmatist position undervalues the real impact of philosophical assumptions in relation to research methods, an impact that is mostly important for joining both approaches. And there are also numerous realistic problems that influence mixed methods research. Most notably, employing various methods enlarges the amount of time essential to complete a study and the cost of carrying out the study. A more significant realistic issue is linked to the level of abilities of the researcher and existing knowledge. High quality mixed methods research needs a considerable operational awareness of the variety of methods being employed, researchers' assumptions, analysis methods and tools, and a skill to comprehend and explain findings resulting from the diverse methods. Similarly, the degree of understanding of the audience can be a problem, and also more researchers agree that all research methods have intrinsic restrictions. Therefore, by methodologically mixing alternative methods in a certain study, a researcher can compensate for unique pragmatic limits. And also, it was time methodologists caught up with practicing researchers by lessening the divide between quantitative and qualitative research. Researchers, mixed method research approach has a huge opportunity to encourage a collective accountability for achieving responsibility for learning excellence. When considering the strengths of mixed method research approach, it is the third research group and it moves past the paradigm was contributing a rational and realistic option. Then some researchers highlighted mixed methods indicate an approach in social science which promotes the combination of quantitative and qualitative methodological approaches. Also, this approach has the possibility of decreasing some of the issues linked with any method focused on the direction of resolving realistic issues in the real world. more than on assumptions about the status of knowledge. On the other hand, many current philosophers still reject mixed method research approach because of its rationale weakness as a resolution to numerous philosophical arguments. Therefore, by methodologically mixing alternative methods in a certain study, a researcher can compensate for unipragmatic limits. And thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ruindi. So that's mostly based on literature review about the mixed methods approach, which is becoming more and more popular now, I believe, among the researchers. So let me request the audience to ask any questions from her.
Yes, actually, I thank you, Dr. Ruindi. I like to know because now because what chairperson mentioned, because now the current trend is doing the research using quantitative and qualitative, and for the study you review some journal articles and the research studies, because based on that you identify those things.
Yes.
I want to know whether you come across because some researchers, they are collecting the data using by quantitative and qualitative, but they fail to analyze the relationship between the quantitative data and the qualitative data, whether because like a triangulation. Whether they are by using both data, whether they are taking the conclusion, whether they are using whatever the data, because that's also one of the shortcoming of the mixed method. Majority of the research, they are taking the data from both methods, but not integrated both data to get the findings. That's why I want to know whether you identify that type of shortcoming from your point.
Here, that's a good question. That's what I mentioned, that that understanding in they should be. I mean, they should know that how to merge those things, and they should have a sound knowledge about both approaches. You know, there are 4 kinds of mixed method research design. Those are triangulation, embedded, explanatory, and exploratory. So then we know how to merge. I also did my PhD explanatory sequential mixed method research design. That's what I'm interested in this. So then they should know how to merge. There are 4 research designs, then there are variants in those research designs as well. Then how to merge. Then there are many methods, many things to merge, many techniques how to merge those 2 kind of data. So those are available in the literature. So I think after collecting data, both before that they should know about the research design that they are going to follow, that they are going to adapt. Then they can merge. There are many ways of merging.
Yes, sir. My question is whether you identified that sort of shortcoming when they are using the mixed method.
Yeah. No. Actually, that's a good idea. Then I will have a look at it. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments from the audience? Now, according to your presentation, I noticed that you have found more strengths than limitations, right?
Yes, madam, exactly.
So you think
that is the most powerful research design that these days that's in the current research world, most of people, researchers, they are interested in doing that mixed method design. Research design. Earlier, I also thought to do that quantitative one. Then later I realized, then when we teach to our own research students, then having that sound research knowledge about both approaches is very much beneficial.
Yes, so that's why now we can see more and more researchers using mixed methods. But still, you mentioned there are criticisms or some reluctance to acceptance by some groups of researchers. So how do you feel how to overcome that sort of resistance or criticisms?
Yes, madam. The thing is that the main criticism is that rational weakening of this mixed method, and also that ability of the researcher, because some of the researchers, they may be interested in one approach. So that is the main weakness, main shortcoming of this. Then if they if they really want to improve their research skills, then they can kind of having a knowledge, maybe trainings or something like that, workshops, then they can improve their research skills. So I hope that is not a limitation, because I also faced that at the very beginning. Then later on I realized, yes, that's a good way. And also that the degree of understanding of the audience, that is also a shortcoming, but that is also we can rectify if we improve their research skills in both ways.
Okay, thank you, Ruindi. So are there any other questions?
Excuse me, I'm Shanta here.
Yeah, Dr. Shanta, yes.
Yeah, now most of the time in a single research project,
Yes.
you may have a main research questions. So how best you can identify or mixing these methods in a single research project where there are few research questions, certain research questions may demand quantitative methodology, while the other research questions may demand the other methodology. What is the best, how best one novice researcher should distinguish which research questions should address or use this method via other method? Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Shanta, I think I got your question. The thing is that at the very beginning, we should, like we are doing in other research studies, we should identify our research design. What is the mixed method research design that we are going to employ? Then based on that research design, I mentioned you there are 4. Then accordingly, you can form your objectives. For the suppose, for instance, for my research study, I use sequential explanatory mixed method research design. Then first 3 objectives are quantitative. Then based on the significant results of that quantitative phase, I conducted that explanatory, qualitative part. So likewise, based on the research design, you should form your objectives. And there are many methods of merging both results.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we all have to read and understand properly how the research designs. The correct understanding is very important, I believe. Thank you, Dr. Ruindi, for that presentation.
Thank you, madam.
So we will now move on to the next one. That is paper ID 136. That is difficult. The topic is difficulties encountered by the students in completing the research project in undergraduate degree programs. And the authors are D.V.M. De Silva, B.G.H. Anuruddhika, R.N.P. Ratnayaka, K.A.C. Alvis, S. Kugamurthy, K. Ketheeswaran, D.D.I. Deepthini, D. Chaturika, and W.M.S. Veerakon, all from Faculty of Education, Open History of Sri Lanka. Okay, so let's listen to that presentation now.
Hi everyone. On behalf of the Faculty Quality Assurance Cell of Faculty of Education, I am going to present this research paper. Our topic is difficulties encountered by the students in completing the research project in undergraduate degree programs. This is our research team. Faculty of Education of Open University of Sri Lanka conducts Bachelor of Education degree programs with the aim to provide skillful professionals from diverse areas into the teaching profession. At present, the faculty conducts a number of Bachelor of Education degree programs, namely B.Ed Honours in Drama and Theatre, B.Ed Honours in Natural Sciences, and B.Ed Honours in Special Needs Education, which are 4 academic years programs. According to the existing literature, one powerful form of professional development for teachers is the use of action research.
Ability to conduct an action research is critically important for teachers to improve educational practices in their classrooms as reflective practitioners, because action research bridges the gap between the theory and the practice. Thus, teachers' capabilities to become a researcher practitioner come into play, making them fully aware of how they decide to make their class more interactive, more learner-oriented, more productive, and more meaningful to the lives of their students. Further, the capabilities of action research bring in an increased sense of professionalism in education. Moreover, conducting small-scale research study and reporting it in a scholarly manner would provide the foundation for students to pursue their higher studies in the field of education in future. Therefore, strengthening the current research project component of the Bachelor of Education degree program is critically important. Therefore, the Faculty of Education included a research project as a main compulsory course of these programs, which comprise 8 credits, where all students are supposed to conduct an action research in the period of teaching practice. However, these undergraduate students of B.Ed programs are studying in an ODL environment. Therefore, they have to face many difficulties which are imposed by an instructor's absence, the different support systems in distance education, as well as the feeling of isolation which is possibly experienced by ODL learners. As an institute which conducts its programs through ODL mode, it is very important to explore the difficulties that are faced by undergraduates when they are completing their research projects and to identify numerous ways that can be implemented within ODL environment to support students continuously. Therefore, this study attempted to identify the difficulties that are encountered by undergraduates when they are completing their research projects and to give some suggestions for developing the process of writing research proposals and completing research projects. These are the objectives of the research study: to identify the difficulties encountered by students in completing the research project, to make suggestions to overcome difficulties encountered by students in completing the research project. The survey design was employed in this study. The sample of the study was a purposive sample and consisted of all the B.Ed students, 100 students, B.Ed Honours in Natural Sciences, B.Ed Honours in Drama and Theatre, and B.Ed Honours in Special Needs Education program who qualified to graduate in 2019 convocation, and program coordinators of these programs. Process of data collection. Data were collected from students by administering online survey questionnaire, and we conducted interviews for program coordinators. Data were analyzed statistically using percentages and descriptively. Limitations of the research study. The sample of the study consisted of only B.Ed undergraduate students of these 3 B.Ed programs only who qualified to award in 2019 convocation. Ethical consideration. Consent of all the students and the academic staff members of the sample obtained after explaining the purpose of the study, expected outcomes and benefits to them and to the faculty, how privacy is protected, and the time period of the study. Participation is voluntary, and participants were able to withdraw at any time without prejudice. Research team gained the permission from the university authorities before conducting the research. Findings of the research study. According to the program coordinators, these are the existing practices followed by the departments during this process. Assigning supervisors, providing project manuals to facilitate the students, conducting workshops, day schools on action research for the students, having communication through email, WhatsApp, Viber to facilitate the students, conducting capacity building workshops for supervisors, presentation of project proposals by students, giving constructive feedback by the team of experts. According to the students in the sample, these are the problems encountered by them in completion of the research project, specifically during the different stages of the process, identification of the research problem, planning the research project, implementing the research project. As you can see in this table, these are the difficulties encountered by them. Mainly, they are facing difficulties in managing work due to family and work-related commitments, problems related to meeting the supervisors, less support from the school community and lack of resources, difficulties in academic writing, difficulties faced due to the geographical distance, difficulties with time management, difficulties in identifying the research problem, limited amount of library facilities in the regional and study centers because majority of these students are coming from very distant areas. Difficulties in finding relevant literature in the mother language. Total number of students who responded for the online survey questionnaire is 72. Please refer this graph, then you can get a more clearer image about the situation. Analysis of data collected through the interviews with program coordinators also reveal that above mentioned difficulties are the common difficulties encountered by the students specifically in identification of the research problem, planning the research project, and in implementing the research project. Further, according to program coordinators, students do not do the authentic learning during the action research project. These are some words from them. Students do not do the adequate referencing, have poor interaction with supervisors. Students do not have adequate research knowledge. Further lack of punctuality of the students was identified as another problem affecting the completion of the action research project. Suggestions to overcome difficulties encountered by students in completion of the research project. To facilitate the students through Zoom, learner management system, and other modes which are suitable to ODL environment. To enhance library facilities, more books on action research in Sinhala and Tamil mediums. To provide more practice in academic writing. To provide supervisor student meeting schedules at the beginning of the research to facilitate the completion of the research projects. To develop faculty-level guidelines for action research project component of B.Ed programs. Conclusions and recommendations. These undergraduate students of B.Ed programs are studying in an ODL environment. Therefore, they have to face many difficulties which are possibly experienced by ODL learners. Therefore, by identifying the difficulties encountered by the students, academics can adapt a proper mechanism to scaffold and provide more guidance to students to complete their research project in an effective manner. Furthermore, it is recommended to conduct an action research as the second phase of the study to explore the ways to improve the quality of the practices, and quality of the research project component through ODL mode. These are the references. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Vajra and all the whole team. There was a big team there from several departments. So let me request the audience to come up with any questions first.
Thank you, Dr. Vajra. Then I have a question because recently I supervised 10 research project. I mean that action research project of SNE, B.Ed SNE students and also B.Ed Drama and Theatre. Then I realized the main issue. Then as a supervisor, I realized that they are very, they have lots of difficulties in academic writing. Even though we give lots of comments, they do not address. So again and over again, they send the same, submit the same. They do not address. So that's a major concern. I think we should train them at least by having workshops, 1 or 2, at least how to write. I mean academic writing. So that's a main problem that they are having, according to my view as a supervisor.
Yes, I agreed with you. This happened, I think, due to their commitment is still not to the up to the standard. They have to do more self-learning. When they are doing a research, they have to read other research articles and those things, but their involvement is still less. So that's why we thought now as the faculty, we want to keep some type of standards. To meet those standards, their involvement should be more. So they have some kind of difficulties. However, as the faculty, we should adapt some kind of strategies to get more involvement from them. Yes, I agreed with you.
Okay, I was wondering now, okay, now all these students, now this is about action research, but the issues that you have identified, I think they are common to any research project. I mean, time constraints and writing and difficulty to come and meet the supervisors. I think they are not, nothing is specific to action research. I think they are all common to any type of research projects, isn't it?
Yes, madam.
Find anything specific to action research, conducting action research, because the whole idea of introducing action, because they are all either teachers or going to be teachers. So the whole idea of introducing the action research is to support their actual practice. That's the whole purpose of doing an action research. So I wonder whether they realize that it's going to help them in improving their practices by conducting an action research.
Yes, I think still no. So we have to, we should facilitate to have some kind of attitudinal change within them. And there is another concern, as supervisors also, we should be very knowledgeable about this research design. Then only we can facilitate the students to do that. That's why we suggest now also we are doing, but all the supervisors, we may prefer different types of designs. However, to facilitate these students, we all should be more knowledgeable about this action research design.
Any other questions or comments from the audience?
Dr. Vajra, you all have selected very important study area, and I want to suggest the series of workshops if we can conduct before they engage in the action research. It will be very useful to the student, because without knowing action research, some have start to do the action research. Our students, we had that experience. I think it is good if we can conduct series of workshops with the students before they engage with the action research.
Yes, Samanthi, it's correct. So we also identified it's necessary.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I
Dr.
also,
Malini, you want
yeah.
to ask something? Yeah,
Yeah,
one more question, yeah.
Yeah. I want to mention that similar idea, Dr. Ruvandi and Ms. Samanthi. Actually, as a supervisor, I have experience regarding that. Actually, even we provide some guidelines they couldn't follow. I think you also mentioned that under the analysis, data analysis, they don't have adequate research knowledge. Actually, therefore, we have to do something before starting the project, do the project. Actually, we have to do something.
Yes, correct.
I think the recommendation, final recommendation is what you have to do. That is to do an action research yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing that you could do, because these are undergraduate students. They are not postgraduate or master students. So they need a lot of support. They need a lot of guidance, help from us. So we just can't blame them. They don't know, they don't read and all those things. We have to give the support to facilitate them. So I think your final recommendation is the one that you should implement now to develop an intervention to support these students. So that can be a series of workshops or any other strategies. I think you all as this team can come up with an action research to help them. I think that would be, and it will be improving our practices as well as researchers. So, okay, so we hope that we will see that in the future. Okay, thank you very much. So now we will move on to the next presentation. That is paper ID 160, Right to Education of Differently Abled Children, a comparative analysis between Sri Lanka and the United States. The presenters are H.L.I. Udani and A.U. Imansha. They are from the Sri Lanka Law College, Colombo. Okay, so please play the presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, today under the topic of right to education of differently able children, a comparative analysis between Sri Lanka and United States. We wish to give a brief introduction, secondly to reveal the problem, method of data collected, analysis of data under 3 subtopics, and finally conclusion after giving suggestions. Introduction. In United States, people with disabilities have demanded and created changes in civil rights and the disability rights movement. During this period, Individual with the Disabilities Education Act was established for ensure children with differently able are provided with free public education, while Sri Lanka established the Protection of the Right of Persons with Disabilities Act in 1996 for the promotion, advancement and protection of the right of person with the disabilities. Though it does not mention about educational rights of differently able children directly, Dr. C.W.W. Kannangara made education free for all children in 1945. However, it is questionable whether the existing legal framework in Sri Lanka is protecting educational rights of differently able children, and this education system will enough of them to achieve their future goals. Methodology. This research, mainly based on documentary research method to investigate the current legal framework in protecting equal educational rights of children with disabilities in Sri Lanka compared to United States. Moreover, this research conducted on black letter method and international and comparative research method. Also, information gathered through primary and secondary data sources. Result and discussion. From the gathered data, we identify 3 questions. First one, what are the existing legal framework of Sri Lanka and United States on differently able children educational rights? Under that, in Sri Lanka, the Protection of Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act No. 28 of 1996 was established for protection of the right of persons of disabilities in Sri Lanka in any situation regarding with them. Section 12 and 13 of this Act discuss principal functions and other functions, among them to ensuring better living standards, establishing and maintaining institutions to accommodate, providing education, vocational training for differently able persons, and giving right to access the detail and communication are most important. Section 23, when a person is enrolled as an employee or student to any office or educational institution, there should not be any discrimination against differently able person. As per the Article 12 of the 1978 Constitution of Sri Lanka says that all persons are equal before the law and are entitled to equal protection of law, even though right to education is not exactly embodied in the Constitution of Sri Lanka. In Article 27, subsection 2H explains state shall complete eradication of illiteracy and assurance to all persons of the right to universal and equal access to education at all levels. However, in United States, Individual with Disabilities Education Act of 1990 provide funds that they receive to support activities to improve services including the practice of professional and other involved in providing such service to children with disabilities which promote academic achievement and improve result for children with disabilities as per the section 1463. Furthermore, Section 1474 conducting research on and promoting the demonstration and use of innovative, emerging and universally designed technologies for children with disabilities. Secondly, what are the challenges faced by differently able children in educational system in Sri Lanka in comparison to United States? Though the Convention on the Rights of the Child provide equal facility to enter into a government school within their jurisdiction as they wish, most of the time they cannot attend traditional schools and thus most of them depend on government support. According to the government of Sri Lanka census, most of children drop out from the education system due to the lack of support and attention, lack of transport, lack of facilities such as equipment and training in school or institution, and parents' negative thinking. Furthermore, 11% of those students in ordinary level standards and among them very low number of students entered into advanced level examination. As a result of that, minimum percentage of disabled person entered into higher education and achieve their goal in life. Currently, with the COVID-19 made inequality situation to differently able students due to the lack of access to internet and technology, limited up-to-date information for their education system, and sudden changes in communication. According to the National Research Council in Washington, special education programs are funded by combination of federal, state, and local government programs. However, state funds was changed based on the number of children enrolled in special education and resources they used in school, and then federal government funds was limited and considered financial level of differently able child in United States of America. Also, many disabled children entered the school system without receiving preschool education. As per the Chudovsky's finding, among nationwide schools, 36% of children with disabilities in United States did not make the required educational assessment progress. However, Muttayya's work on special education states that low and middle income countries like Sri Lanka have difficulties when providing services for large number of individuals with disabilities. Apart from that, the Minister of Education of Sri Lanka giving 4 educational options for differently able children, specialized schools, special education unit within the regular educational schools, inclusive regular educational schools, and special resource centers attached to regular education schools. However, the number of schools and the quality of these schools and units are insufficient according to the UNICEF Learning Disabilities in Sri Lanka's report. Thirdly, what are the suggestions to improve the existing legal framework to ensure the protection of right to education differently able children comparison to the United States of America? According to Article 4 of the Convention on the Right of Persons with Disabilities of 2006 says, in order to help ensure the realization of this right, State parties shall take appropriate measures to employ teachers, including teachers with disabilities who are qualified in sign language and or braille, and to train professional and staff who work at all levels of education. Such training shall incorporate disability awareness and the use of appropriate argumentative and alternative modes, means and format of communication, educational techniques and materials to support persons with disabilities. For example, in the presentation shows that some pictures. In there, Helen Keller, who is a blind and deaf, meet an amazing teacher named Anne Sullivan, and one day she teach her to spell the letters WATER while pouring the water one hand to another hand. This way, she developed a language that could easily understand and finally gifted her reading and speaking skills. According to her biography, she is practicing that method of teaching and saying, "That living word awakened my soul, gave it light, hope and joy, set it free." There were barriers still, it is true, but barriers that could in time be swept away. As a solution for the shortage of teachers for differently able children in Sri Lanka since 1970s, started training teachers for special education in Sinhala, and later in 2006, National College of Education started training teachers in Sinhala and Tamil. Further, professional development programs in special need education for teachers offered by Sri Lanka Open University in 2004 and National Institute of Education provide short-term training programs for regular class teachers who are teaching differently able children. Also, the basic knowledge of special need education given by the Ministry of Education through a large scale of teacher centers in Sri Lanka. According to the UNICEF publications, Braille and large print teaching method could be used for low vision students and also can use oral teaching methods. Children with intellectual disabilities and students with low literacy could be used pictures and diagrams, which is easy to understand and also benefited to children who use of various languages. Further, children with hearing impairment, video and signing languages will be more benefited to continue their education as previous with joyfully. In this way, the equal right to education of all children with disabilities will be protected. In United States has passed many laws by recognizing civil rights and educational rights of differently able persons. Above information clearly shows that Sri Lankan educational system and legal framework related to education should be changed according to the differently able children needs. This change will making a fresh start for differently able person in Sri Lanka. In conclusion, teachers and parents of differently able children can motivate them to have a dream for their life and encourage them to achieve that dream one day. Give priority to children ideas and full attention, love to overcome the hard times and tough situations. Provide more opportunities to participate social activities and to describe freely what they feel and access to information and technology while guiding and work with them. Further, with the support of non-governmental organizations and United Nations agencies, Sri Lankan government should implement friendly social projects and scholarship programs. Also invite young people with disabilities who achieve their goals and conduct motivational speech and give a chance to communicate with motivational speakers and share their own ideas. Apart from that, implement more laws and regulation from other countries like United States and give equal education and other right of differently able children in Sri Lanka. Finally, there are many people with different types of disabilities spread through the world. Whether they are able or disabled, they have some kind of talent, and in order to win the future with the talent, they need a special teaching method and education system which is related to their unique needs. Finally, when it comes to educational rights and future challenges of differently able child, the most important aspect is giving priority and supporting them to achieve their aspiration. For this purpose, differently able persons need humanity, more than the legal framework, which is limited for a piece of paper. Thank you for listening to our presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very interesting presentation. I'm sure our Department of Special Needs Education waiting to ask some questions. So who is there for, who is there in the who is there in the audience to answer any questions? Can we see you?
Shall I ask? Hello, shall I ask?
Wait, we need to see the presenter.
Yes,
Okay,
madam. Good
Udani?
afternoon. Yes, madam.
Okay, so Professor Kogamoti, you can ask the question.
Yes, actually it is very good presentation, and this is a very current need of the presentation, because there are several challenges faced by the children with different disability. Actually, I want to know, because now because you analyze Sri Lankan and American framework, legal framework. Then I want to know whether in the legal framework, whether they include the monitoring mechanism also. Because everything, because what you mentioned at last, everything in the paperwork, because policies are there, circulars are there, everything in the paper based. I want to know whether there is a proper mechanism, framework to monitor how that children with special needs, how they, because they are telling different stories, because this type of help, this type of facilities, all those things are there. I want to know whether there are proper monitoring mechanism, any model available to introduce to Sri Lanka.
Actually, madam, in United States, they are in their legal framework, they are going to that means they are researching how they learning, and they divided it to 3 parts, and state and federal and local government, and then they are searching for that students are learning in the schools, and how many students are there, and how is their progress, and they research every day that how is that what they want to improve in their technologies and everything. But in Sri Lanka, unfortunately, we couldn't find any findings about relating to that.
Yes, actually, because they introduced a special unit for some schools to cater these children with special needs, but there are no any proper allocation, no, there are no proper supervision, whether that special needs children, whether they are receiving all the facilities. Those, because of that, I like to know. Then you can propose a legal framework for monitoring. I hope this is your, maybe this is a future plan for you.
I think there was another question, Dr. Ruindi. You
No,
want
madam,
to ask
actually,
something?
not a question. Then I really appreciate that this is a very, very interesting and very needy, I mean, kind of research. Then I have one concern here. You mentioned about that black letter approach. As far as I know, is that data analysis method? Is that the
Legal?
approach?
I think it's in the legal studies, right?
Yeah.
Yes, madam, we used in legal studies, so that's why we did this research based on internet articles and
Yeah, I know that. Then that is a kind of a approach, not the data analysis technique. As far as I know, I don't know exactly. So anyway, you use that no? To
Data
analyze.
collection method, is it?
Yeah. That
Documentary.
is the approach,
I believe
madam.
it's, I thought it's documentary analysis. Is it?
Yeah.
Why you call
Yes,
it
document analysis. Yeah, that should be the data analysis technique, not the approach.
Okay. Any other questions from the audience about the research?
Yes, madam. I want to add something regarding the special needs education children.
Yeah.
And actually, in the Ministry of Education, we are having the special education unit with the non-formal education unit. I don't know whether they are their policies and what they are implementing, but I think they can do some research, they can implement some good policies to look after special needs children. That is the only area we are having at the moment.
I think the
Yes,
policies
someone
might be there.
Yes,
Yeah, Dr. Alvis, yes.
Yes, I also want to comment on this because all these problems in Sri Lanka are related to lack of policies regarding special needs education or regarding education of disabled. Normal education policies and acts covers special education also. Those regulation acts, they don't have that much power to facilitate children with special needs. That is the main reason. So now Ministry of Education, NEC, drafting a policy proposal regarding how to facilitate children with special needs. So in future, we can have strong policies to facilitate children with special needs.
Okay, thank you. It's good to hear that. So we'll hope for in the future we'll have a better situation. Thank you for that presentation. So Dani and your colleague, we will move on to we have 3 more presentations. So we'll move on to the next one now. The next one is paper IDs 171. Perceptions of BA Honours Hindi undergraduates, graduates and university teachers on methods of assessment. That is presented by H.D. Hirimuthugoda. H.D. Hirimuthugoda from University of Kelaniya, Department of Hindi Studies, University of Kelaniya. Okay, so we'll listen to that now.
Hello everyone, I am Hasara Dasani Hirimuthugoda from the University of Kelaniya. Today I am going to present my research paper titled Perceptions of BA Honours Hindi Undergraduates, Graduates and University Teachers on Methods of Assessment. These are my research questions and objectives. In this research, I tried to identify the perspectives of students and teachers of the BA Honours Hindi degree program about its educational approaches and to suggest appropriate methods of assessment to be defined in future curriculum revisions. Assessment and evaluation are 2 important steps in the process of education. So assessment refers to the wide variety of methods or tools that educators use to measure and document the academic readiness, learning progress, skill acquisition, or educational needs of students. So there are 2 ways of assessment. First one, formative assessment, which is known as continuous assessment, is conducted during the process of learning. It is used to monitor student learning, to provide ongoing feedback, and it allows the students to improve while learning, and instructors can use it to improve their teaching as well. The summative assessment or final assessment is conducted at the end of the process of learning, and it gives information about what students have achieved at the end of the teaching learning process relative to learning outcomes and other educational standards. And it is also useful in tracking the progress of the educational program as well. Then evaluation is a systematic process that is designed to provide information that will help to make a decision about a situation based on a criterion administered by a set of standards. So assessment can be qualitative, but evaluation is always quantitative. So assessment has an impact on learner autonomy as well. So there are 2 components of learner autonomy, ability and willingness. Ability depends on knowledge and skills, whereas willingness depends on motivation and confidence. So choosing proper practices of assessment can encourage learner autonomy. So in this research, it was planned to get the perceptions only about the methods of assessment which were already used in use for evaluation in the existing BA Honours degree program, or which can be practiced within a foreign language curriculum. So moving on to the methodology, I have used, I have opted the philosophy of pragmatism because I aim to contribute to the advancement of language education by identifying appropriate methods of assessment. Then the approach was induction. These perceptions of respondents can be generalized for foreign language teachers and learners. The methodological choice was mixed method. Both qualitative and quantitative methods were used to analyze data. Research strategy was mainly survey method, and also open-ended questions were asked. This research was cross-sectional. It was conducted during the first half of 2020. And the techniques and procedures used were questionnaires were provided to collect quantitative and qualitative data. They were provided in English and Sinhala, and the survey was conducted online using Google Forms. There I provided questionnaires for 3 groups who are directly involved in the process of education: undergraduates, graduates, and university teachers. So students and teachers can provide feedback about levels of satisfaction, motivation, autonomy, and expectations regarding the academic experience. So this was the response rate. Moving on to the results, the first question I asked was, what is the most suitable method for exam-oriented final assessment, year-end examinations, or end-semester examinations? In the existing curriculum of BA Honours Hindi degree program, there are only year-end exams. So 66.67 graduates have recorded they would have preferred end-semester examinations. In case of undergraduates and university teachers, the response rate was 50-50. So among the graduates who have recorded end-semester examinations are more suitable. They have highlighted year-end examinations are more stressful, and in first semester they feel lazy because they don't have exams. So laziness and stress can have adverse effects on learner autonomy. Then highlighting the points or the responses given by the undergraduates and university teachers who preferred end semester examinations, they have said that they can end semester examinations can reduce stress of students, motivate students to be continuously engaged in studies, provide more opportunities that the student can be assessed several times more than once. Then one university teacher has said that suitability of end semester or year-end examinations depends on the subjects. Secondly, graduates were asked to rate the effectiveness of the following methods of assessment to assess the competence of an undergraduate. They have recorded written papers, oral tests, and presentations are effective or very effective to assess the competence of an undergraduate. The least rated option was online test, but there also at least neutral or better responses were recorded. This was the response rate how undergraduates have rated these methods of assessment in terms of motivation. I asked them how much they are motivated towards the following methods of assessment, because they are not experienced enough to give an idea about the effectiveness of these methods. So this is how university teachers have rated these methods. They have recorded all the methods are effective or very effective. So this third option was they were given a chance to give suggestions for assessment methods to be incorporated to the curriculum to enhance the competence of BA Honours Hindi undergraduates. Concluding the responses of graduates, diversity, flexibility and constructivism in assessment was highlighted. Then one respondent has emphasized the need of a typed dissertation to develop skills of ICT usage and typing, because in the existing BA Honours Hindi curriculum, dissertation is submitted as handwritten dissertation. So the student has said there are enough written papers to test or assess the handwriting of students. And short assignments would be great, better than the long assignments. Then highlighting the suggestions of university teachers, continuous assessment, diversity in assessment methods and constructive feedback was identified. Student characteristics must be taken into consideration when planning to realize learning outcomes and when encouraging learner autonomy. So moving on to the recommendations and conclusion. Both positive and negative perceptions about both methods of summative assessment, their end-semester exams and year-end exams were recorded. So I suggested flexibility in methods of assessment to be used appropriately, to use end-semester examinations for some course units where learning outcomes can be tested after or within a period of 1 semester or 15 weeks, or else we can have year-end examinations where a long process is needed. Then diversity in assessment methods to motivate students and to assess students effectively. Then I have suggested using methods of assessment like presentations, oral tests, in-class tests, assignments, co-curricular activities and online tests appropriately for formative assessment or summative assessment, because within the existing curriculum only written papers are given more attention, and some presentations and oral tests only, but we can use diverse methods of assessment in formative or summative assessments. So in presentations we can test learning outcomes like verbal communication, delivery, leadership, adaptability, networking, research, creativity, organization and time management. In oral tests we can test learning outcomes like verbal communication, delivery, adaptability, problem solving, networking and social skills, and assignments help to assess research, organization, resilience, information management, problem solving and critical thinking skills of students. Then I suggested co-curricular activities are more suitable for formative assessment, and they can be helpful in assessing practical skills, networking and social skills, problem solving, adaptability, leadership, teamwork, creativity, organizing, and stress management as well. Then online education and online assessment have become a must in today's context because of this global pandemic. So I have suggested that the entire process of education must practice suitable online pedagogical approaches to use online tests for assessment. Then I suggested constructive feedback after assessment because then students can identify their mistakes and improve their skills as well. Then finally, considering student characteristics in the process of assessment is also important. So diversity in assessment methods, constructivism in assessment, giving constructive feedback, and considering student characteristics have given importance in outcome-based education as well. So this is the list of bibliography. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Hirmuthugoda. I'm not sure whether we have any time for questions because I think the whole 15 minutes have been used up. We can have just one question from the audience. Are you there in the audience? Can we see you? Ms. Hirmuthugoda, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I am there.
Is there any question? Just one quick question because we have the time is all used up. So anybody has any questions? No questions. Okay, then anyway, so I believe your study on the assessments, now anyway, we have to think about more and more authentic assessments. I believe, especially in the current context, you suggested a lot of strategies. So I hope you would be able to implement them and support the students as they, according to their feedback. I think you might be thinking about implementing different assessments in the future. Okay, thank you very much for participating in ours 2021. So let us now move on to the next presentation. That is the 10th presentation, paper ID 200, an analysis of the extent to which students use the facilities provided by the Open Institute of Sri Lanka, M. Munasinghe and T. Mukundan. Yes, please play the presentation.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to share our findings today. Dr. T. Mukundan and myself, we did this research. The topic is an analysis of the extent to which students use the facilities provided by the Open University of Sri Lanka. Study based on the Bachelor of Education, Honours in Primary Education, Level 3. First of all, we are going to give brief introduction about this research. Department of Early Childhood and Primary Education of the Faculty of Education, Open University of Sri Lanka, offers the B.Ed Honours in Primary Education program since 2019. The main purpose of the program to provide opportunities to enhance knowledge, skills, and attitudes in this field. Also, to open avenues to get higher education qualification as well as professional qualification. Those who have engaged in teaching preschool and primary schools, also students who have GCE A-level qualification miss the opportunities to enter other state university. However, the overall aim of the program is to improve the quality of primary education in Sri Lanka. If you look at the literature related to this topic, we can look at the information about some of the research. Veerasinghe and Fernando, 2018, have stated about university facilities and student satisfaction in Sri Lanka. Purpose of this research is to explore the impacts of university facilities on student satisfaction at regional state university in Sri Lanka. Findings, the factors identified as the most strong influenced student overall satisfaction were the lecturer room facilities, library facilities, accommodation facilities, employment facilities, and entertaining facilities at regional state university. However, computer facilities did not considerably influence student satisfaction in Sri Lankan context. Kaushamalika and Veerakorn, 2018, have stated the learner perception on library services at Kandy, Matara and Anuradhapura Regional Centre of the Open University Sri Lanka. The study examined the usage of library and information services provided by the selected regional centre libraries of the Open University. It attempts to find out the needs, expectation and usage of the library by distance learners and their perception about library services. Based on these findings, it is recommended that the library should order multiple copies of reading material, extend the lend-in period for a period of 1 month in regional centres, increase the number of computers for users, and provide online access facilities. It is also recommended that a comprehensive information literacy program should be conducted to promote awareness and use of electronic information resources. In addition to that, Abdullah 2009 has done a research on a descriptive study on students' satisfaction towards the services provided by the University Uttara Malaysia. In this research, will determine that level of the satisfaction among that university students towards the all facilities provided by the university. The findings show that the majority of the students are satisfied with the facilities provided by the university. And also, the study will help the company and or organization or the university to improve their services provided to the students in achieving the student satisfaction due to the evaluation of satisfaction level for every variable. However, after the COVID pandemic, students directly contact with the university gradually dismissed. Therefore, we had to introduce new approach to share our experience with our students. These are the objectives of the study. First one is to investigate the extent to which the facilities provided by the university are being used. Second one is to inquire students' perception about course delivery methods. Third one is to examine problems faced by the students in the program. Last one is to propose solution to overcome the problems. Now we are going to talk about the methodology. The survey method was used as the research design. Purposive sampling method was used to select the sample and 100 students were selected considering the medium and the centers. This is the final sample. Questionnaires and interviews used as the data collection instruments from the students and the selected lecturers. The quantitative data was analyzed using SPSS and descriptive analysis was adapted with qualitative data. This slide explains the results and the discussion. 57 are employed and 70% of the students of the sample have GCE A-level qualifications. In addition to that, we focus facilities provided by the university. Most of the students use library for writing assignment. 67 of the sample use the library to refer books. Some students said that they use online to find information. A few students said that they use library to get the past papers. Regarding the lecture hall facilities, 92 were satisfied with the lecture rooms. A few students said that they use temporary residential facilities and healthcare facilities. Regarding the course delivery method, students are most satisfied with the counseling program. 60% of the sample said that the study material was given on time. 50% mentioned that they use premises to study as small groups. Many students agree to that receiving some modules was delayed, but the lecture covered them in the day schools. Now we can talk about the online learning facilities. Most of them are agreed easy to follow lecture via Zoom. 40% of the sample agreed that they have difficulties reading e-materials and reading supplementary course materials. And also they have some additional problem regarding the program. 50% said that it was difficult to contact university and the relevant lecturers. 20% said that login problems with them. Also 50% said that it is difficult to write assignment on time, and 20% said that they have a problem getting their assignment before the final exam. 50% said that it is difficult to read supplementary reading material due to the login problems and the inadequate English knowledge. Now we have come to the conclusions and recommendations. The university provides facilities to the students. No differences either in terms of location or media. Library can be used for multi-purposes. Lecture halls and study rooms are adequate for their studies. Counseling program and orientation program were useful. Study materials given on time. Most of them were agreed that online learning method was easy for them. But sometimes it is difficult to contact the university and meet lecturers. The department should take the responsibilities to overcome the problems that they face related to academic activities. And also, we should listen to the students' problems and give our maximum support for them. These are the references we have used. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Munasinghe and Dr. Mukundan. Can I open the floor to the audience to raise any questions?
Shall I
yes,
ask,
Professor
actually, first I would like to appreciate, because this is a very needy research, because there are a lot of issues related to BEd primary education. Therefore, it is good to do a study like this. But I want to know, because this is you take the sample for which academic year?
Actually, this is the first time we have introduced the BEd program. This is the academic year 2019-20 academic year. Yeah.
Okay. And then because I want to know, because the students, that total number, because you mentioned there are several issues related to access LMS.
Yes.
Then I want to know whether that all the students got the facilities to log into the LMS.
Actually, at that time, when we were collecting the data, at that time, some are not uploaded to the LMS actually. And especially English medium supplementary material, we already uploaded some. But Sinhala medium, still we are not, some are not uploading that one. Sinhala medium students, they mentioned that they have some problems to read in those materials. That's the thing we mentioned that. Now we are doing that these days. We are uploading the Sinhala medium also and Tamil medium even.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? So this is all about learner support, I believe, how they are supported by various facilities in the university. Now these days, I think mostly it's related to the online facilities because now everything's online. So do you think they have the online access? What about their, now since you're uploading all materials to the LMS now, do they all have access to the materials?
So I also like to ask that question, yes.
Yeah, students, they have access, actually level 3 and level 5, they are referring our LMS supplementary material.
So they didn't mention any problems with
no, some are mentioned that the reading problems, especially still.
Yeah, that's the language problem.
Language problems, yeah. Yeah.
But access they manage, no? Dr.
Yeah.
Mukundan, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Some students download the documents and they share the WhatsApp groups. Then the other students also get that also practice.
Yeah, that's good to hear, because if some people are having access issues, the others help them by downloading and sharing it with the peer group, right? Yeah. So helping each other. Peer support is also there. Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, this 40%, sorry.
Dr. Shanta, yes, Dr. Shanta.
40% of students, they have not received course material, it seems, no?
Yeah, at that time they didn't receive. Now already okay, we have all are printed now. The distribution problem was there actually. Some are not distributed on time.
Yeah, is it a distribution issue or not available?
Available.
So it's
distribution issues was there at that time. Now
maybe the printing was also delayed.
Printing or level 3 and level 5 already okay.
That we have to seriously look at, no? Yeah.
Yes. Actually. Because they need the materials. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Then thank you, Dr. Munasinghe and Dr. Mukundan. We will move on to the final presentation for today. Then that is ID number 204. Focus group discussion method for the purpose of continuous professional development of GC ordinary level English literature teachers in Sri Lanka. The presenters are WMGU Vijayasundara and TGP Jayamanna from Postgraduate Institute of English. Yes, we listen to that study now.
Good day everyone. I'm Gayani Vijayasundara, presenting paper number 204 at the Open University Research Sessions 2021. The title of the paper is Focus Group Discussion Method for the purpose of continuous professional development of GC O-level English literature teachers in Sri Lanka. Let me start by introducing the authors. I am Gayani Vijayasundara and my co-author is Mr. Tarindu Jayamanna. Both of us are lecturers at Horizon Campus Malnabe. Both of us completed our master's degrees at the Postgraduate Institute of English recently. At the moment, I am reading for my PhD in education. Briefing you about the content of the presentation, I would start with the introduction of the study, followed by the background to the study. Next, I will present the objectives of the study and research questions. I also will discuss the methodology used, followed by results and the discussion. Finally, I will present the conclusions and the recommendations. I will conclude my presentation inviting for a question and answer session at the end. Moving on to the introduction, the focus of this study is to promote continuous professional development, that is CPD, of GC O-level literature teachers of local curriculum by investigating the possibility of the use of focus group discussion method in continuous professional development. The paper is written based on some observations done during another study. In the original study, we investigated the teacher's use of curriculum materials, specifically the teacher's resource book issued for O-level literature teachers. For the original study, the focus group discussion method was used, and during the analysis of data, it was observed that the focus group could facilitate teacher learning. Therefore, the discussion transcriptions were reanalyzed to find data to support this concept paper. Now, let's look at the background to the study. The need for continuous professional development in teachers in Sri Lanka has been identified by several researchers. For example, a report issued by the Asian Development Bank says that lack of subject knowledge has created a demand for a consistent subject-based in-service and CPD training. The same report speaks about the cascade model, whereby a master trainer is trained, who then trains other officers, who then train others, who finally train the teachers, has raised questions among teachers whether the quality of such programs could be diluted along the line. Further, according to Bandara, 2018, lack of awareness on available continuous professional development programs and the lack of proper policy documents have caused haphazard and uneven continuous professional development programs across the country. To add to that, Danda and others in 2017 suggest that school-based teacher development in Sri Lanka could be improved by demonstration lessons, peer coaching, school-based monitoring and assessment, individual consultations, visits to classroom in other schools, and regular group teacher meetings. The idea of using focus group discussion for teacher education is also could be supported with literature by researchers such as Patton 2002, Cavey 1998, and Powell and Singal in 1996, who point out the versatility of focus group discussions in creating awareness and educating the participants in research. The objective of the study is to justify the suitability of focus group discussions as a practical and cost-effective method for continuous professional development among GC ordinary level English literature teachers. To fulfill the objectives, focus group discussion transcriptions were revisited, keeping the following questions as a guide. Which type of information could enable teacher learning of the syllabus content? Which type of information contributed to effective teaching practices? Which type of information allows teachers to find solutions to classroom issues? So they worked as the research questions in this study. Moving on to the methodology, a qualitative approach has been used here, and the two sets of focus group discussion transcriptions were analyzed to find data for the study. In the original study, a purposive sample of 10 teachers who taught GC O-level literature local syllabus from Colombo district were selected. They took part in 2 focus group discussions. 2 of the participants were in-service advisors who also taught the subject, and other participants represented different teaching contexts, such as full-time state sector teaching and private sector school teaching. Presenting the results and discussion. The analysis of the 2 focus group discussion transcriptions supported the emergence of several themes that could be placed under the research questions. They are listed here. We found that discussions supported sharing of information on prescribed texts and information on the various practices teachers can use to overcome issues in teaching. Teachers learned about new information sources and additional reading material. They also shared knowledge on the new teaching methods and activities suitable for varied learners. Teachers discussed about practical issues in the classroom and methods to overcome them. The discussions helped them to learn time management strategies and to clear doubts about content in the syllabus as well. Moreover, they shared examination-related information and also effective strategies to prepare students for final examination. In addition to these, learner differences related to gender, social background, and religion also was discussed. Finally, coming to the conclusions and the recommendations, the findings of the study supported the use of focus group discussions as a suitable method for teachers' continuous professional development in terms of educating the teachers on the content of the syllabus, facilitating teachers to learn effective teaching practices, as well as problem-solving skills in the classroom context. Focus group discussion method also could be recommended as a way that to mitigate the information dilution in continuous professional development, because the different stakeholders can directly contact each other. Another advantage is the possibility of conducting focus group discussions both as face-to-face and as virtual meetings. Virtual meetings can easily bring various participants to the discussion from different locations and also can significantly reduce the cost of physical meetings. These are some of the references we have selected from the paper. We have come to the end of the presentation. I would like to conclude inviting questions from the audience. Thank you and stay safe.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Vijayasundara. So you are there. I request the audience. It's an interesting presentation. Okay, let me first request the audience to ask any questions.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Dinali. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. You made the comment that sometimes teachers are not aware of current CPD opportunities.
Exactly.
So, to your knowledge, are there such opportunities that, in relation to literature instruction, that teachers could actually make use of?
Actually, Dr. Dinali, according to the literature I have found, I heard that they are doing these professional development programs in school level, but not in national level. But two ISAs, actually, there were two ISAs in my research, in the first research that I did. And during the discussion, they happened to say that, or they happened to mention that at the beginning of any syllabus, there are training programs for ISAs. Sometimes it's done for teachers as well. But other than that, there's no continuous professional development, but only at the beginning of any introduction of program. That's all I learned, Doctor.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the audience?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to ask a question. Now, thank you very much for this presentation. It was very interesting. I'm interested in getting to know Miss Gayani. Now, how did these focus group discussions emerge? Were they part of a larger study on CPD of teachers?
No, actually, my original study was to study about the teachers' use of curriculum materials. So this I did as a part of my partial fulfillment of my MA degree. And so we did this focus group discussions to collect data about the use of curriculum materials actually. But during the discussions, in the nature of the focus group discussion is to it emerges, it opens up venues to discuss things that is not foreseen by the researcher as well. So when I looked at the interview transcriptions, I came across several instances where teachers, they shared information about the content and the clearing doubts and all. So that's what gave this idea for me to write this paper.
Okay, yes, then I think it's very interesting. So the thing is, we can adopt this for our university academics even, no?
Yes.
What do you think? Yeah.
Yes, of course, madam. Yes, and actually, I'm planning to develop this as a PhD thesis. That this is my focus in my PhD as well. At the moment I am doing my proposal. Actually, this could be developed in using. For everybody, and I hope to have some discussions, and I want to now in my practical sessions I hope to use social media and also to get some to do some practical focus group method discussions with the participation of university academics as well, madam.
Okay. Okay, Gayani, one last question. I was wondering now, I think you were referring to mostly the synchronous type of questions, like where you face-to-face do this.
Yes, madam.
What do you think about this, where we use the online discussion forum? Do you see any similarity or any...
Madam, we can, I have not tried actually, but this is of course what we did was face-to-face focus group discussions. But however, I see that it is possible for us to conduct as, because these focus group discussions are small groups, madam, not like large groups where participation is very low. Now I am doing online lectures, but I see the participation of students is very low, and it's very difficult to get even the teachers, like I teach teachers also, but they are very reluctant to participate. But I think since we are looking at smaller groups here, I think it's there is a possibility of doing online forums as well as you said, maybe we can do it as an asynchronous forum as well. Maybe we can even on Facebook, like if we can open up a page to have asynchronous discussion, I think it could be possible. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering, because sometimes certain students, different students have different learning habits or different ways of engaging in. Sometimes some would prefer to do the rather than face-to-face discussions using the online discussion forum.
Exactly, madam.
There may be individual differences. Anyway, thank you very much. I think it's a very interesting and very useful study. So now we have come to the end of today's session on education, and I think we had a wide range of topics covered under education, starting from the vocational and technical education and moving on to teachers, different perceptions on using technology and research methods, reading habits of students, differently abled children, and assessment and learner support, and finally about focus group discussions. So I take this opportunity to thank all the presenters, and as well as the audience as well, and also our group who helped in the background, especially Dr. Wajira, the team convener, Dr. Uppala, the session co-chair, Mr. Priyankara, the host, and Mr. Chamir, the technical assistant given. I thank everybody. And I believe we will all meet tomorrow with other sessions. For education, it's finished for today. All the education papers have been presented. And We will meet in other session tomorrow. Thank you very much for everybody and for everybody's active participation in the discussions as well. Thank you.
Madam, thank you very much for you also for chairing the session and for your outstanding support given us.
You're welcome. So I believe now the session will be over. Session will be ended by the host.
Thank you.